This is a download from Rutland Radio.
Hello, and thank you for downloading the Rutland Radio podcast from rutlandradio.co.uk. This is where you can hear the best bits from the last week.
Jill Atkinson, I'm partner in Atkinson Action Horses, and I'm also the mother of Benjamin Atkinson, who you saw there in the show.
So where did the idea come to be the stunt horses?
The horses have always been in the family, show jumping, livery riding school, but it's just something Ben's always wanted to do from being tiny, from being like 2 years old, and so we helped him follow that path.
Did you used to do it?
No, not myself. I didn't start riding until I was 21, until I met Mark, but Mark's always ridden and show jumped and hunted and everything,
So what does Action Horses do?
We do horses for displays like this. We do horses for films and TV. At the moment we're working on Peaky Blinders and Queen Victoria, and in September we go back onto the fourth series of Poldark. So we do photo shoots, corporate days, lots of different things. Yeah.
How long does it take to do these stunts and rehearse them and perfect them?
It depends on the horses and it depends on the type of stunts. You know, some things can take weeks and months, some things can take years. It really depends on the temperament of the horse and the stunt that they're doing.
How do you know that the horse is suitable for the stunts? Because I suppose, like, everyone's not going to be able to...
All the horses have got different personalities, and you just get to know what they want to and what they don't want to do. And, you know, you get a really brave horse that'll jump fire, and you'll get a horse that'll joust, or you'll get a horse that says, no, I don't like jousting, thank you very much, but, you know, I'm brilliant at carrying an actor on a TV programme, so, yeah.
So, being in Poldark, have you got a next project coming up?
The next series of Poldark we've got lots of different things coming up. We're doing the Great Yorkshire Show, we're doing the Horse of the Year show, and we're doing shows all over the country from now until the middle of October. So we're very busy.
Are you local to Rutland?
No, we live in East Yorkshire. So, yeah, over 100 miles away. So.
Highlights from the past 7 days, the Rutland Radio podcast.
Thanks, Rob. Well, you may have heard that Heavy Horses is back here at the Rutland Show for the first time since 1953. I'm here with Helen Chester now. Am I right in thinking you were a Faulkner that used to actually have this heritage of the Heavy Horses here?
Yeah, that's right. I'm part of the Faulkner family of Cottesmore. My grandfather used to have heavy horses working on his farm. And was generally a big heavy horse man, so I've grown up with that as my heritage.
So I'm guessing that's all very mechanised now. Obviously you have tractors and ploughs that are pulled by machinery. About when did it stop being something that was horse-drawn?
Around the time of the war, really, when it became easier and cheaper for vehicles to do the jobs, and slowly the horses died out. A lot of them were taken during the war pretty much to go out and pull the guns, especially the big horses like this that we're used to pulling. So it slowly died out, and over the years the tractors have taken over, and we're now left with the heavies not really having a job anymore.
That is such a shame, isn't it? Because they are the most beautiful, of horses.
They're absolutely incredibly beautiful. And you'll see today at the show that they are now being ridden. So we're trying to encourage people to keep these breeds alive. They're incredibly rare and are on the verge of dying out, particularly the Suffolk Punch horses and the Clydesdales. So by riding them, we're now encouraging people and the younger generation to come through and to breed these horses and keep their breed alive.
So people can keep them like they keep a pony, like they keep, your general, 14-hand horse? Or...
Yeah, that's right. Whatever they can do, the heavies can do. Obviously, they are a lot bigger, they are a lot stronger and a lot heavier. Mm-hmm. But yeah, they are now being ridden. You'll see them doing dressage. Obviously, they're really good at pulling carts as well.
And how significant is their return to the Rutland Show after all these years?
Well, I think it's been 64 years since the heavy horses were last at Rutland, and just to see them back here, to see another county show welcoming the heavy horses back is a really significant thing. A turnout like we've had today, we had 39 entries in, and most of those have come forward today. So to see this many heavy horses at Rutland is a very significant moment for us.
It's very emotional, I can tell in your eyes.
Yeah, it's really emotional for me. I got involved with this for my grandfather, really, and in his memory. So to see all of these heavy horses here when I know what he would be saying if he was standing next to me today is one of the most emotional things.
Helen Chester, thank you very much for joining us on Rutland Radio. I should say Helen Chester, née Faulkner, formerly of Cottesmore.
That's right. Thank you very much.
Rutland Radio.
Phil Jarvis, and I run the farming operations at the Allerton Project at Loddington in Leicestershire.
Now tell us broadly about Open Farm Sunday, what it is, how long it's been going and what it hopes to achieve.
Well, Open Farm Sunday is a national scheme that's open to anybody who farms in the country. It's been going for about 11 years now. And I think they've had 2 million people have visited farms in that time. So it's a great way of getting people out into the countryside to have a look at some farms.
I suppose in a way it's like opening up the countryside, really.
Yeah, there's a great story with farming. I mean, it's basically, it feeds us in the country, and sometimes what goes on a farm and the machinery and the animals and that, it's a progressive science as well, the way we grow our food, and it's really good to sort of open up that story and let other people who don't normally come across the rural landscape and let them come and have a look at what we do.
And I suppose in a way, with farming being literally every single day of the year, it's a chance for farmers maybe to take stock and actually invite people in and for them to appreciate through other people's eyes what they do too.
Yeah, and I think in any job really, sometimes you can drive your tractor or you can look after your animals, and especially when there's not a lot of people employed for the scale of the land we've got, that sometimes saying, hey, we've got a good story to share with people, it is a good chance to just turn around, and this time of year is usually quite a good time of year. It's a bit blustery today, but it's a good time of year to show people what's going on in the countryside. The trees are all out in full leaf, the crops are looking well, and the animals tended to be eating a lot of grass around. And just incidentally, whilst it's blowing like this and it's raining like this, farmers do need some water for the crops to grow as well.
Now, in our immediate area, we've got Northfield Farm at Cold Overton,
yeah,
and also the Allerton Project here at Loddington, where I'm speaking to you, that are open. What particularly can people see here at Loddington?
Well, we've got a range of things. If we start with our farm machinery, so we'll have our combine here and our big tractors and our machines that we sow all our crops with and treat our crops with, they'll be here. We've got a range of animals. We've got your traditional farm animals, so we'll have a cow and a calf. We've got some pigs here, we've got some chickens, we've got sheep. But we've also got a few little other surprises. We've got Rusty the pony, we've got some alpacas as well. We've managed to find a donkey and a small foal.
Now, your farm is a little bit different in the way that it approaches things on a daily basis, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. Out in the countryside, there's not only food production that we're after, but we're also looking after the environment. So the shop floor, the soil, so soil health, landscape as well, so trees, water courses, that whole balance between food production and environment, ways of producing food and looking after the environment, and they go hand in hand really.
So if people want to literally just pop along this Sunday?
Yep, I'm well informed by the weather forecast. It's going to be about 20 degrees and sunny, so we've got our fingers crossed. It's from 10 till 4, it's free entry, always have a great day out for the kids. Tractor and trailer rides as well, and that's usually very, very popular. So we hope we see everybody on Sunday.
Phil, thanks for joining us on Rutland Radio.
It's a pleasure. Thanks, Rob.
Rutland Radio's best bits on the podcast.
I cannot contain my excitement any longer. Nick Kershaw is on the phone. And Nick, you're in Stamford tomorrow night at Burley House with icons of the 80s with Go West and Carol Decker from T'Pow. I just cannot wait for this night. I guess for you, it is another concert, but it's always special.
Yeah, it's always fun. I mean, I've done a load of gigs with these particular protagonists, and it's always a laugh, and it's always good to see them.
And what is it you think about the 80s nostalgia, that still stands the test of time? It must just be the songs, I guess.
I don't know. I wish I knew. I'm always getting asked that question. Obviously, you think I would have formulated some kind of theory by now, but I really don't know. Maybe it's just because it was kind of an age when people really valued music. Music was consumed very differently back in those days, I think, and people, I think, got closer to the songs. Whereas kind of since then and nowadays, music seems to be something you listen to while you're doing something else, and it's much more easily available.
Now, it all started really quickly for you, didn't it? Your breakthrough, and then you had your second album to write almost overnight.
Yeah, the first album came out in March 1984 and went ballistic, and then for some reason I agreed to make another album for release in November, which is just pretty nuts when you think about it. But I managed to do it somehow. I think I wrote the second album in all but one song in about 2 weeks.
And you've been songwriting ever since for so many other people, as well as all your solo albums that you've had out over the years.
Yeah, well, I spent most of the 90s, I sort of kind of deliberately took a back seat and concentrated on writing and producing. Didn't make any of mine albums, and I got lucky a few times. But nowadays, I just kind of mainly write for myself now.
I was very excited when I saw Eddie the Eagle, the film.
Yeah.
And The Sky's the Limit is on it. I remember that single coming out. I'm sounding like a real groupie now, aren't I?
Well, the fact that you've even never heard of it is good.
I know that it worked so perfectly well, and I think you do write a really good aspirational song.
Yeah, well, that was an old one. I got a call from Gary saying he was doing this project, and did I have anything? Or could I write something new? And I was just about to go off on tour. I said, well, I haven't got anything new, but I got this. This kind of fits the bill. And he sort of said, yeah, no, we'll have that, thanks. So that worked out quite well.
So getting back to tomorrow night's concert then at Burley House, Stamford, do you know our area at all?
Other than that's where the horse trials are, I really don't know. No, I don't think I do. I don't know that area very well at all.
So much to discover then.
Right, well, yeah, I mean, absolutely. I'm always, you think at the ripe old age of 59, I would have explored most of the UK, but you kind of don't. You spend a lot of time in hotels and in venues and on buses, but you don't actually spend a lot of time at the places themselves.
So in your 60th year, and I'm glad you've said it, I wouldn't even have admitted being 59, because you don't look it on stage, you don't sound it on stage. It all sounds exactly the same as it did back in the mid-80s.
Yeah, it still looks all right from a distance.
Yeah. And up close, I'm sure I'll find tomorrow night. Thank you very much for being on Rutland Radio.
It's my pleasure, Rob.
Which song, then, do you think, which is the real crowd pleaser of the night, typically?
Oh, I don't know. I guess it's one of 3 or 4. I don't know. Bung the Riddle on. Why not?
I love bunging the riddle on. Thank you very much for being on Rutland Radio today. See you tomorrow.
Rob. Ta-da.
Rutland Radio.
Now, I have to level with you. I'm not convinced I have Lindsay in Ryle on the phone. Lindsay.
Hi.
Oh, blimey, I do. You see, I do this show so infrequently that I have to kind of read all the instructions. Here's my notes that Lydia's left me, and I have to read them, you see. But we've got you. Lindsay in Ryle, and you're going to Tellington Lakes tomorrow?
Yes.
Way. Excellent. Right. Don't move a muscle.
Well, I think...
Let me play that again, because even I don't know who it is.
Well, I think...
Lindsay in Ryle, who do you think it might be?
I think it's Anna Friel.
Oh, my goodness. Why would you say that?
I don't know.
Anna Friel Force. Do you say frail or friel?
I think you say Friel.
Okay, so let's see.
Well, I think this, you tend to you're drawn towards the subjects that you like because of the teacher. If you really like the teacher, you tend to love the subject even more.
£50 is all right, isn't it?
Oh!
Well done, congratulations. Yes. Don't move a muscle.
The weekly Rutland Radio podcast.
You've probably seen the blue signs around Rutland for the Rutland Sailing Club Open Day, and we speak to Lydia live on the water at the moment. Do you know what kind of craft you're in?
I'm in a keel, Rob. I'm in the middle of Rutland Water in a keel boat. So we're sailing along, and this one's a little bit quite safe. This one won't get too wet in, which I'm happy about today. But I've got John with me and Nick, and we've got Jacob, who is 10 years old, and he's actually driving the boat. He's helming the boat at the moment, steering.
You have a 10-year-old in control?
We have, yeah. And he's doing a wonderful job. He's a natural. We've also got Jacob's dad. Say hello, everybody.
Hi.
Excellent stuff. Live on Rutland Water at the moment as part of the Sailing Club Open Day. And anyone can do what you're doing between now and 4 o'clock, can't they?
Literally anyone. There's quite a few boats to go out in as well. So I'm out in a keel, but there's also catamarans, there's dinghies. There's so many different ones you can come down and try. And the instructors, the sailors, they know what they're doing. So you're in safe hands. And you can even have a go yourself.
Fabulous stuff. That's the Rutland Sailing Club Open Day at Gibbet Lane, Edith Weston, through until 4 o'clock today. Free parking, free entry, a chance to go on Rutland Water for free. And Lydia, thanks very much for that. I know you've got a busy weekend, not only in for David tomorrow, but also you're heading off to Ryle this afternoon as well, aren't you, to find out about what's going on with that 7-year-old's charity day.
I am, yeah, so that'll be really nice because he's only 7 and he's doing something for charity. And it started because of his homework. He had to do something that he wondered, we just turned around at the moment. You hear the wind in the background.
Yes, absolutely.
So yeah, I'm looking forward to going to meeting Freddie and his dog Amos later today as well.
Okay, Lydia, we'll let you get ready to head back into terra firma, as it were. Well done, 10-year-old Jacob, for his work on the boat there, and thanks very much for popping down to the Sailing Club today. Have a great time.
Thanks, Rob. Bye.
Rutland Radio pop-up radio show with funky tents and events. Make your special event unique with stunning marquees and tents.
Yep, Rutland Sailing Club Open Day is on through until 4 o'clock at Gibbet Lane, Edith Weston. Ryle Village Hall this afternoon, Freddie and Amos's charity event for rescue dogs to help the Animal Helpline Rescue Centre in Wansford. Freddie is 7 years old and he's got a dog called Amos who came from the rescue centre, and together they're raising money for charity at Ryle Village Hall for a couple of hours from 1:30 today. Loads of things on sale and a chance to win a fidget spinner, and Lydia's going to chat to Freddie a little bit later, dropping in on Ryle Village Hall to find out more.
Rutland Radio.
I'm at the Ryle Village Hall with Freddie. Now, how old are you, Freddie?
7.
And you put on something really special today, haven't you?
Yeah. I'm doing this charity event for rescue dogs, like my dog Amos.
And you got Amos from this rescue centre, didn't you?
Yeah.
And what rescue centre is it?
It is the Animal Helpline.
And what other things have you got going on here today? Because it's really busy.
Yeah, I've got a tombola. My sister is Ruby Sky's Craft Corner. Games, donations, and refreshments and face paints.
And how long did it take you to organise today?
It took me a couple of days.
So quite a quick turnaround, a couple of days. And you've done it, part of your homework, isn't it? So can you tell me a bit more about that?
Yeah, so I decided to do this charity event, and if you can come, there was this Just Giving page that you can donate to the Animal Helpline.
And where can people find? So if they go to Just Giving, what do they need to type in to find it?
They need to type in Freddie and Amos's charity event.
Well, that's it for this week's Rutland Radio podcast. If you have any comments, you can email us via the website, rutlandradio.co.uk, and we'll have a new version on our website from Monday.
This is a download from Rutland Radio. For more information, go to rutlandradio.co.uk. This is a download from Rutland Radio.
Hello, and thank you for downloading the Rutland Radio podcast from rutlandradio.co.uk. This is where you can hear the best bits from the last week.
Helen Briggs, Chief Exec, Rutland County Council.
So how come the County Council's getting involved to help with the to send the team for the Special Olympics?
Well, I know one of the mums, Joshua's mum, really well, and she approached me and asked if we could help, and I was delighted to be able to do it, so that's why.
And what's going on at Rutland Water?
Well, there's 6 of us. We've got 3 that are running around Rutland Water, and 3 of us have already done 1 lap on the bikes, and we're now walking round.
And it's 15 miles are you doing, yeah?
That's right, yeah, so two laps of 15 miles, yeah. And we're 5 miles into the walk now, so starting to feel it a bit now.
So you're raising money for them to go to the Special Olympics. Now, what's the target that they have to reach?
Well, they're looking for about £2,500, and we set ourselves a target of £1,000, and we've exceeded that, but we want to raise as much as we possibly can for them. So anybody that's thinking, just go to the Just Giving page, and please, it's a really good cause.
And what is the Just Giving page? And what's the name of it?
If you just Google search for Rutland Conquerors Just Giving, it'll take you straight to the page.
Rutland Radio.
Well, I'm Debbie Souter, and I founded the club about 10 years ago, I suppose. And we are delighted that once again members of our team have been selected for the Special Olympics. It happened back in 2009 where 4 of them were selected, and this time 6, and it's a repeat for 2 of them. So we're really proud of them.
So what's happening at Rutland Water today?
Well, the senior management team of Rutland County Council have offered to help us, and they said they wanted to do something, so we've set up this crowdfunding page, and as I've just been told by Helen Briggs, it's reached £1,300 this morning, which is amazing. We are so grateful because it's a wonderful achievement and it's a wonderful experience for the youngsters, but it costs over £400 each to go.
Highlights from the past 7 days, the Rutland Radio podcast.
There's 6 of us. We've got 3 that are running around Rutland Water, and 3 of us have already done 1 lap on the bikes, and we're now walking round. Two laps of 15 miles, yeah. They're looking for about £2,500, and we set ourselves a target of £1,000, and we've exceeded that, but we want to raise as much as we possibly can for them. So anybody that's thinking, just go to the Just Giving page, and please, it's a really good cause.
Rutland Radio.
Well, I can remember I was a brownie in Ketton in 1974, which says quite a lot about me. But at the age of 9, I was going home to my mum saying, "Oh, the brownies is shutting, you've got to come and help." And my mum and my auntie both came forward and helped at the time and ended up running the brownies in Ketton. And Mum's been involved for a long time now.
And that's kind of how it goes, really, isn't it? A lot of the time, you know, the leader, maybe their children grow up and they find they're doing something else, or they reach retirement and they want to do something else for themselves. And they've had this commitment for so long, and they're trying to pass it on, and it's that passing on that doesn't always happen.
Yeah, something that I've always done in my groups when I guide elsewhere. I guide in the Grantham area. I've tried to bring on my guides into the thought that one day they're going to be running the units, because I was running Ketton Guides at the age of 18, and I'm sort of saying to rainbows and brownies and guides now, that can be you when you turn 18. You can be running your own group, and, you know, sort of planting those seeds and hoping that we can get somebody in the meantime and then bring on some of the guides from Ketton Guides to be those ones that will run the brownies.
If you're a brownie in Ketton, what sort of things do you get up to?
I can tell you from what my brownies get up to, because I run brownies as well as guides. And just this week we were at the park, but last week we were looking at internet safety. And then we made animal masks and had great fun sort of pretending that we were the animals in the game that they were playing on the internet in the film.
So how much of a commitment would it be then for anyone to actually join and become leader ultimately?
They just sent an email and they fill it in and send it back. And of course we have the DBS check, which is the name that they now give to CRB.
And the group would meet once a week?
Most groups meet once a week. I've had groups where leaders work shift work and they meet once a fortnight, and then once a month on a Saturday they have a half-day meeting. So the meetings can be flexible to the leader as well as the girls.
Now, you could possibly say, you know, because people will be thinking of a solution here. They'll go, oh, just send them to Stamford. But, you know, there is a waiting list in the region, across the country. There are more children who really want to become rainbows, brownies and guides.
Absolutely. We're in the Anglia region, which sort of covers Norwich and down as far as Essex. And there's about 15,000 children waiting on waiting lists. They're not all going to be ready to join a unit or old enough. Until recently, I had a 1-year-old on my district waiting list. But
just so they could get in when the time was right.
Absolutely. You know, across the country, we're looking at about 70,000 young people waiting to join.
So, to recap, Ketton Guides is okay at the moment.
Yeah.
And what about the first step, the rainbows in Ketton?
Rainbows, as far as I'm aware, Ketton rainbows are doing well.
So it's that gap. It's this,
yes.
7 to 10?
Yeah. Well, you see, if brownies disappears, girls will be leaving rainbows at 7. Will those rainbows find their way back to guides at 10? And we'll be sitting here talking like this in a couple of years' time.
And how can people actually reach out to you to offer themselves up?
Oh, that's really easy. We've actually got a free phone telephone number, and the number is 0800 1 69 59 01. That's 0800 1 69 59 01. Or just go to girlguiding.org.uk.
Rutland Radio's best bits on the podcast.
It's Rutland Radio Breakfast Time. I'm Rob Pisani. Now, tonight at Stamford Arts Centre, a talk about someone who's reached very far-flung places in the world to see incredible creatures. But this time round has done something you would not believe. He himself can get to some far-flung places, but actually taking someone else in a wheelchair. Now, you wouldn't have thought this would be possible. To tell me more, it's Benedict Allen, who's at Stamford Arts Centre tonight. Now, you took the BBC security correspondent, Frank Gardner, in his wheelchair to explore Papua New Guinea to find some exotic birds.
Yes, I did, and came back again. And we were very worried right from the beginning what would happen on this venture. I'm someone who's explored a lot of the world, living with remote people, learning from them, across the Amazon basin. I did a TV series called Skeleton Coast, and I filmed myself. But I was always travelling alone, and I struck up a conversation with Frank Gardner, and many of your listeners might know of him. He's on the TV virtually every night, BBC security correspondent. He's in a wheelchair. He was shot in 2004. And he said to me, he was telling me the story about how he lay in hospital for 9 months and said to his surgeons who saved his life, one thing I'm really going to regret is never seeing birds of paradise. And Frank is, he does love his birds, I have to say. And I said, oh, well, I'm your man. I lived there 30 years ago. But But I hadn't really thought it through, to be honest. As I said, I'm used to travelling alone, surviving in the forest, the desert, the Arctic by myself. But it's a very different thing, taking someone in a wheelchair through the largest tropical island in the world. Papua New Guinea has got swamps, it's got almost impenetrable forest, and the whole lot, 100% humidity, incredible heat. So very, very hard, let alone if you're in a wheelchair, unable to move along through the mud, as it were. You've got to be carried all the way. But that was the challenge we set ourselves 6 years ago, and at last we managed to pull off this venture, but not without difficulty, Rob. It was tricky.
So who was your inspiration to actually lead this kind of life, to show people these parts of the world in the way that you are doing it, immersing yourself?
I think it's my dad, actually. There were the great explorers that excited me as a child, the Burton and Speke and Livingstone, all these famous people. Scott, as a child, I thought they were very exciting. Captain Cook, I loved the Captain Cook because he seemed to be able to see people who were so alien to him as just simply people. But really, it was my dad. My dad was a test pilot. He's one of those people who developed the Vulcan bomber. And seeing your dad fly overhead with his Vulcan, I think that made me believe it's possible to be an explorer, to be someone who pushed his limits. And that's what I set out to do.
Rutland Radio.
Andrew Sherwood, Principal Engineer, ACOM.
Now, you've been looking at Oakham High Street over the past few months. What's made you arrive at these two proposals?
Well, what we've really tried to do initially was to sit down to understand what Rutland County Council's aspirations were for the town centre. But rather than just us impose our ideas on Oakham, we really wanted to understand what makes Oakham town centre tick, and to do that we've developed a sort of an evidence base. We've done CCTV surveys of the town centre to understand pedestrian and vehicle movements. We've done on-foot surveys. We've spoken to local businesses to understand their loading requirements, etc. And really looked at the historic nature of Oakham as a town as well, to understand that and make sure that whatever proposals we come up with are really in keeping with the nature of the town.
No significant loss of parking spaces on either proposal, and the one-way system will run with the crossing behind you. Why is that?
The purpose for that was really to avoid the traffic which currently queues through the town centre, blighting the beautiful new townscape when the scheme's finished. What we don't want to see is queuing traffic, as it currently does, along the high street. With the current direction, it would avoid that.
And you're planning to slow traffic down whichever scheme down to 20 with stone. You can imagine driving along. Obviously, people will drive slower on that.
Yes, I think a key part of any reduction in speed limit is that the speed limit feels appropriate for the nature of the road that we have. So in terms of changing the streetscape to look less like the A road it used to be, and more like a town centre and a place for people to stand and chat and have cafes, etc., that will in itself help to reduce vehicle speeds.
So it's more pedestrian friendly, but cars are still part of it, basically.
That's right. We're certainly not intending to remove cars from the town centre, and that was ruled out at a fairly early stage, that we didn't feel that it would be appropriate for Oakham town centre to remove vehicles, and vehicles will still have free access with fairly small diversion routes, if you see what I mean, to enable vehicles from both east and west to access the town.
So what will happen once all the consultation is in? Will you then be working on, are you project managing the whole thing effectively?
From ACOM's side, yes, I'm project managing the scheme, and following the consultation period there will be an evaluation of that, which will hopefully give us a clear answer as to which option will progress to detailed design. Obviously a key part of the design, which is still at an early stage, is the consultation process, so we'll be taking on board the feedback that we get during the consultation process as well. So the final scheme may be slightly different to option A or option B, but it will. This consultation process really sends us down one of those two avenues, really, one way or two way.
The weekly Rutland Radio podcast.
Summer Festival on Saturday. Patrick Candler's put the programme together. You're here in your shorts, optimistic at good weather, and I think you're right, actually.
Rob, yes, it's lovely to see you again. And yes, keep talking up the good weather, because I think it does sound like it's going to be fantastic. And if it is blue skies and sunshine, then I can think of no better place to be than Castle Bytham over this coming weekend, the 17th and 18th of June, because we have got an absolutely magnificent festival. Someone told me it's our 25th, which is good in itself. But that aside, we've really pulled the stops out this year to put on a brilliant event. We've themed it around, particularly on the Sunday, around the history, because there is a brilliant history to the Midsummer Festival, and we've got some fascinating facts. Now, I'm not going to tell you what they are today, but anybody who comes along will get this wonderful free leaflet that will tell you all the things that happened, and it's well worth it, because it's a lovely little village to walk around.
Now the whole thing is music led on the Saturday. There's more music on the Sunday, which is more of a kind of fete day, isn't it? But the big day, the kind of Glastonbury of Castle Bytham with good weather, is actually on the Saturday itself, isn't it?
This is true, and again, from starting at 1:30 with a local Oakham lad, Pembroke Tennyson, right through to 9 o'clock at night. Again, a local band, the Tin Pigeons, Castle Bytham favourites. We've just got a wide variety to suit all tastes. We have 2 stages, so we've got a big marquee stage for the bands, and we have an acoustic stage, and we try and give an opportunity to the local performers who during the year will kind of play in the clubs and pubs, but if we can put them on a big stage with a big sound system and a professional sound engineer, it's just wonderful. And in particular, I have to say, and I don't mind giving you a plug, you've been very supportive with the introducing act, Chloe Lorenzen, and she'll be on at 2 o'clock on the Saturday afternoon. So do get people should be getting there along, because not only is there plenty of music, but we've got a beer festival with about 15 real ales, 5 real ciders, and a load of lagers as well. And the festival itself is free. There's free car parking. There's no entrance charge. I'm afraid you do have to pay for the beer and the food. But actually, I think that's just a small contribution to help cover our costs.
And lovely, obviously, for Sunday, Father's Day, to have the festivities continue with more of the fete day. Now, the medieval theme, you were saying that there might be the ultimate medieval guest. You can't say anything more than that.
I'm currently, I don't know what they would have said 800 years ago, but in discussions with England's most famous outlaw, because there are connections between Castle Bytham and a little wood to the north of Nottinghamshire. I don't need to spell it out, but I'm hoping that if this great outlaw is not having a bit of a contretemps with the sheriff of a certain city, that he may well be joining us. So as and when the arrow flies through the air, telling me the good news, I will let you know. But it is a wonderful event. It's not just the music. We've got a street market. We've got lots of other medieval entertainers, theatre groups. We've got wandering fools. We've got minstrels. We've got our duck race. We've got all the stalls selling lots and lots of goodies. At the village hall, they're doing teas and all sorts of nice medieval type foods. What more do I say? Oh, and I think, we realised the other day that this also falls on the same weekend as the Great Get Together. You heard about that? This is
a nationwide thing.
Yeah. And it's just so it's really nice that we're already doing something, and without pushing it too much. It's just nice for the local people in Castle Bytham, and indeed from neighbouring villages and towns, just to come along and just have a wonderful weekend with us.
We'll be there over the weekend as well. In fact, Sire Stone is going to be introducing Chloe Lorenzen 2 o'clock on Saturday afternoon at Castle Bytham. We're also popping along to the Sunday as well with the street team, Lydia and Sire, and also Preston the Panther will be there as well. So it could be Preston the Panther meets the most famous outlaw of all time. Now that will make a photo, won't it?
I think it would.
Patrick Candler, thanks for joining us on Rutland Radio. You've brought in the programme. Where can people find out more info?
The programmes are available in shops up and all around the area. We delivered about 5,000 leaflets. The music programme itself will be available to people when they turn up, and so they will get a really good biography of all the performers and the times, and they are accurate as of now. There may be some changes on the day. The history sheet will be available at the festival, so you do need to come along and pick those up. But I repeat, they are free, so that I think you'll have something to take away at the end of what I hope will be an absolutely wonderful weekend.
And free to go along to the Castlebytham Midsummer Festival this Saturday and Sunday.
Rutland Radio.
Steve Duffy, and I'm the chairman of Cottesmore Amateurs.
And your ground has had a pretty rough time recently. Just tell us exactly what's happened over the last year, really.
Well, we had this spate of vandalism before, where the stand was all broken down and broken into, and then just recently over the weekend, Saturday night, Sunday morning, some kind individuals came up in their car. The gate was left open, unfortunately, and they've came up and decided to use our football pitch, the main football pitch, as a bit of a skating rink, skid pan, and drove all round the football pitch.
So presumably you've got all these deep trenches kind of in the pitch, have you?
Yes, yeah. We're very fortunate that the ground was hard and dry, because if it was kind of wet or even damp, it would have ruined the whole pitch. And we're very, very proud of the way the pitch is kept up. The two groundsmen, Kevin Ash and Alan Westry, volunteers, put an awful lot of time into that area, their sort of expertise.
So, what happens from now? You obviously want to find out exactly how this happened.
Well, we know how it happened.
Yeah, but who did it?
But who did it? Yeah, absolutely. Yes, that would be fantastic. I mean, somebody must know who it was. We've no idea. Presumably, it would be a youngster in a smallish car. Look at the tyre tracks. So somebody must know. Friends, relations, parents, friends of friends might know something, and we'd really appreciate them coming forward. Do
you know exactly when it would have taken place?
Not exactly, but Saturday night, Sunday morning, early Sunday morning. So late Saturday night, about 10, 11 o'clock, between 10 and 11 o'clock Saturday night to Sunday morning, when it was discovered about 8, 9 o'clock on Sunday morning. So between that time, the police have been informed, so the police know about this.
And you say that the ground was quite hard, so hopefully, it shouldn't take quite as much as it would if it was muddy and wet. And, how much will it take to put back, and how will you do that?
Well, that's where the groundsmen come in, the speciality. Kevin and Alan they're the professionals, if you like, the groundsmen. But even though the ground was hard, there's still sort of deep trenches. Not deep, but there's as you imagine, cars skidding as such. So there has been trenches. I would possibly say, knowing Kevin and how meticulous he is, maybe 4 weeks, 5, 6 weeks maybe, to get it up and running again, perfect.
And I guess also because obviously, because of your league standing, you've got to have your ground of a certain standard anyway, haven't you?
Yes. Well, yeah. I mean, we're very proud with what we do with the football pitch, and obviously we're self-funding. We don't have any money at all coming in, so any money we do get is put in. So we're actually struggling a bit now. This is the last thing we need, because we're still trying to go over the vandalism. We're still trying to raise money for that. We were talking about to move up the Football League. We need to make improvements to the ground, which we know. And we were going to put a fence along the top end of the bank. Unfortunately, the horse and the bolt and things. But if it had a fence on the top end, that wouldn't happen. So that's going to be no more of a priority now, to try and get a fence on the top. But it's all about expense, and we've just not got any money to do it.
So, this is really the third time that the club's been hit then, as you say, because the stands were damaged, there was the arson attack, and now this.
Yes, indeed, yeah. It's because, but there for the whole of the community. I mean, I don't suspect for 1 minute it was anybody within the club that would do it. It's just, I don't know. I don't know what else to do. We provide all the facilities. We leave the top pitch. We leave the goals up, the nets and the top pitch, the five-a-side goals there, and everybody's welcome to use all the facilities. We hire the pitch out. We let people play in the pitch, and 1 or 2 individuals spoil it for everybody else, unfortunately.
Have you anything else to add?
Just if anybody would like to help us in some way, contribute. We're still looking for sponsors, kit sponsors, We're looking for, let's say, build a fence. We're looking for another metal unit. Anything and everything. I don't want to be standing with the begging bowl out, but we're struggling to carry on because we're hand to mouth as it is. And it's very soul destroying for the whole club, never mind just the grounds, but for the whole club, and that includes the players as well. They put a lot of time, a lot of effort, into doing things, because all the money we raise is self-sufficient fundraising and things. So if anybody can help us, that would be absolutely fantastic.
And this Cottesmore Amateurs Football Club's been going for years, hasn't it?
Yes, it was established in 1941. And Alan Westry, obviously, has been their man and boy. He's now the vice president of the club.
And his name is the name of the ground.
Of course it is, yeah.
Westray Park.
Yes, we renamed him. Well, a fitting tribute to a fitting man, The only good thing with this is that Alan's actually on holiday at the minute. He's in Mallorca, so he does know about it, but he's not seen the damage, so hopefully it won't be as bad when he comes back, because he's a very passionate man,
Highlights from the past 7 days, the Rutland Radio Podcast.
My name's Tony Mathias. I'm leader of Rutland County Council.
This is all going to go out tomorrow, by the way, so it will be today when the consultation opens. But first of all, can you explain where this whole plan has come from, these two proposals?
Well, these two proposals have been discussed on and off about 10 years, ever since the bypass was completed. We've now narrowed it down to 2 options, which we hope everybody will come and visit us in the marketplace on the 14th of June, the 23rd of June and the 24th of June. Come and talk to us or look online to see what the options are all about.
Now, obviously, the roadworks was a difficult time for people in town, but it was also a golden opportunity, I guess, to actually test some of what you're proposing.
That's true. There was congestion building up under certain circumstances around the High Street and Church Street, for example, with 3-way lighting systems. So we took the opportunity of testing what would happen in a one-way environment, and that seems to have alleviated the problems generally, as far as I saw, on the High Street.
What do you see the main advantages actually of spending this money, and where is it actually coming from?
Council tax is not a contribution to this. This is money from highways, transport, central government, so what we call capital receipts, which we've been saving up over the years.
And this basically opens up the High Street, doesn't it? Makes it brighter, makes it fresher, makes the pavements wider, whatever option.
I think the wider pavements, slightly less traffic, it will transform the environment. One of the options widens the pavements at the entrance to Mill Street, the High Street. I think that's a particularly difficult area. One of the options improves the ability to cross to the library. Wider pavements, more cafe society, visitors will love to come and visit us and spend their money in Oakham.
Do you think ultimately it would be possible to completely close the High Street to traffic? I know that's not an option in this consultation.
I don't believe there's any appetite whatsoever for that. I can see the benefit for pedestrians. However, no, I really don't think the residents will be likely to go for that at all. I wouldn't support it myself.
What about parking?
In both the designs we're putting forward, both options, there is no real net reduction in on-street parking. It's been reconfigured, but there's no net loss, possibly 1 or 2, but certainly no more than that on either option. So we appreciate that people need to come into town, maybe just to get a prescription or something like that. So they don't want to park in an off-street car park. They want to get out of their cars if they can, go in, get out and move on.
Are you excited about what people are going to come back with?
Yes, I'm excited. Some trepidation. There are going to be people coming along and saying, well, what about all this chaos that the town centre's had the last few months? I'm sorry for that, but these works were necessary. Had to replace electricity, we're going to have to replace the water systems. Those are out of our control. We try and manage them, but they're out of our control. So, yes, some trepidation, but I think there's going to be a lot of interest in this, and I think people are going to love both options. But fortunately, both options are good enough, but we need to choose one.
And businesses, I know you're meeting with separately in the town.
We are indeed. We have an invitation for Friday the 16th. I think there's about 300 businesses that we've written to. We're inviting them to come along, see these plans, have a chat. In addition to those businesses, we also invited the Rutland Access Group as being also an opportunity for the Rutland Access Group to talk to business about some of the issues that affect some of our residents in Oakham.
Well, I guess with the wider pavements, that's going to be a sigh of relief for them, because I know that's been their issue with advertising boards, with having to squeeze past things.
There is that. I think there's also the fact that some of our pavements are uneven, so you might be coming off a pavement in one place and it might be 2 inches, in another place it might be no inches, another place it might be 5 inches. So there's a lot of unevenness there. We are taking very seriously the demographic situation in Rutland. Our population, our ageing population is growing. We need to provide them with an environment where they feel safe.
Rutland Radio.
Andy Wright, Housing Services Team Manager.
And how have you been able to actually offer this to the fire service?
We've got these couple of houses here on Brook Road that are not going to be re-let because they need an awful lot of money spending on them to bring them up to standard, which we'd rather divert into new housing. So we've got nobody that we're able to house it in the long term, but we wanted to see if there was an alternative use that would benefit the community, not just Spire Homes residents, but the wider community. We'd worked with Leicestershire Fire and Rescue Service before, offering an empty house in Empingham, which they'd made use of. That has now been demolished because that area is also being redeveloped. These aren't going to be redeveloped for a while, so again we have a very good working relationship with the Fire and Rescue Service, so we approached them to see if they were interested in using an empty house to provide a more realistic training scenario for them. They were very happy to explore that, which we did, and we found that we were able to make it available to them on a long-term basis so that they were able to enhance their training and also give them more opportunities to be able to train in a realistic environment. This house is very similar to others across the county, so would benefit lots of people that live in Rutland. So as well as protecting our own property, it also protects the whole population of the county by providing this sort of training for the fire service. And it's better that it's being used for something rather than just standing empty, deteriorating whilst we wait for the demolition to take place, which isn't going to be for some time yet.
It's frighteningly realistic, isn't it, when you see the fake smoke billowing out of the door and the fire personnel disappearing, within a couple of seconds.
Yeah, I've never witnessed myself a house being entered by the fire service, but it was easy to believe that it was a realistic situation. And when that front door opened and there was smoke coming out, even though there was no fire present as such, but the guys here are obviously going through the drill exactly as they would in a real situation, then it is, as we're standing here in the front garden surrounded by firefighters, it is easy to believe we're standing in the garden of a house that is on fire, and that the personnel are trying to find the casualty inside the house.
Rutland Radio's best bits on the podcast.
Watch Manager Wayne Cotton from Oakham Fire Station.
Could you explain, firstly, the scenario that you've given the teams here today?
Yes, for a number of weeks ago, Rob, we were kindly given the use of 2 properties on Brook Road in Oakham by Spire Homes for some realistic training. The properties are vacant, so other than them having no furniture inside them, they were a very, very realistic form of training. We've come round here today to use our smoke machine and completely smoke the building out so the fire crews can't see where they're going. And as I said, it offers extremely realistic training.
And this is rare for you around here as well?
It is, yeah. We have our training facilities at Oakham Station, which are second to none, and the smokehouse at Oakham Station is a good training implement, but not as realistic as a house, which is our bread and butter work, really.
And what are the what are the pitfalls that you face? I mean, obviously not being able to see a great deal.
Yeah, I mean, there's the crews have to treat it as if it is a live incident with their personal protection. There could be holes in the floor up there. They're given a safety briefing prior to going in, but it's other than they can't see a thing, and they have to do all the things that they should do to stay safe inside the building.
And how often actually are the personnel training?
Well, we train every day. We've got various things that we do most days, but on the likes of this, probably we'll be doing breathing apparatus at least once a week. To be fair.
And what are you hoping that they will find in here today?
Well, the scenario is it's an elderly gentleman that lives alone, so there's one person in the house. There's what we call one person reported, and the first team that went in from Mount Mulberry Station have searched the upstairs, all 3 bedrooms, just reported back that they have found no casualties upstairs. They have exited the building, and now Oakham's crew have gone in to check the ground floor, where hopefully we're going to find this simulated casualty.
So your officers here today have found the casualty. Whereabouts was it?
Yeah, well, what we'd done, there's a small understairs cupboard, and that's where we'd placed the casualty on the ground floor. Again, from experience, people in sadly, very, very sadly trapped in fires will go to anywhere that they can to try and escape the smoke. Children have been found in chest of drawers, in cupboards, underneath beds, anything at all, while they're waiting on the fire service to get there. That loud noise now is what we call our positive pressure ventilation fan, and what we would use to do is blow the smoke out the building and reduce the temperature inside the building to make it less punishing on the fire crews that are working within.
So the noise we can hear in the background is the artificial smoke being cleared. The casualty was found under the stairs, and that can be quite typical, can't it?
Yes, indeed it is. As you said, Rob, the noise that you can hear is is a positive pressure ventilation fan, which we use to we push cold air into the building, and it reduces the temperature. We find an exit point on the back of the building so the smoke can escape. And what it does, it makes the conditions inside the building much less punishing for the fire crews and much less punishing for any casualties that would be in there, or any people that are inside that building.
And people typically do hide, like that casualty was found under the stairs. They're trying to seek refuge from the heat, the smoke.
That's it, you got it exactly. We try to make the training as realistic as possible. We will look for a cupboard, put a small dummy inside the cupboard. This one was, as I said, the understairs cupboard. But yeah, people will do anything they can to try and escape the dreadful conditions that would be inside a house fire.
And it really just brings to my mind smoke alarms.
Smoke alarms, yes, they're vitally important. They give everybody the early warning, the signs of a fire. We would hope that most houses have the smoke alarms inside now, because they save lives. They're vitally important bits of equipment. They cost very little to install, and they are absolute lifesavers.
The weekly Rutland Radio podcast.
I'm Aidan McGarry, and I'm musical director of the Stamford Corn Exchange Singers.
Now, this fundraising concert, this is the third one that you've done.
That's right. Yes, we did 2 last year for Thorpe Hall's Sue Ryder Home, and this year we're doing one for the British Heart Foundation, which is going to be on the 24th of June.
Is there a particular reason why you've chosen that charity?
It's because of Elaine Ward, who was a previous member of the society and also was a person to do with the Stamford Corn Exchange, very involved with them, and she sadly died last year, so it's in her memory.
Your group is very much connected with the Corn Exchange, and it is.
We've been very lucky to be able to play here. They give us their facilities for free. We're able to play here either in the theatre or in the bar. We're very lucky to have this space, and we enjoy playing here very much.
There's quite a big group here as well.
Yes, we've now got 35 people altogether. We've just been going a year, and in that time we've got a lot more men, which is really good, because that's what choral societies are always lacking, really, is men. We've got a good bunch of men, and they've actually got a song of their own. In the second half of the concert, they're going to sing Officer Krupke from West Side Story, which is great fun. And we've got a lot of other numbers from musicals, Burt Bacharach, ABBA as well, so something for everyone, I hope.
How much are tickets?
Well, tickets are £9 and £8 for concessions, £5 for children. But if you ring the box office and quote, I think it's Rhythm 24, and you're a group of over 4, you can get your tickets for £5 each.
It's a great night, actually, because Stamford will have had, of course, the floats right outside
here.
It
will have, yes. And we hope people will stay around and then come to what will be a very enjoyable concert in the evening.
What time does it get underway?
It gets underway at 7:30.
Rutland Radio.
Yes, well, welcome to Stamford. Here we are backstage at Burley House. How very exciting.
Isn't it?
Wonderful location here. The sky's blue.
Yeah.
The wind's going to drop tonight. What an amazing night.
Have you organised that then?
It's going to happen.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
It is beautiful here, I must say, yeah.
Oh, it's lovely.
It is lovely. All our outside festivals are like this, all summer.
There's probably about 20 top acts, really, aren't there, that tour the country, actually, bringing all this music back.
Yeah, and they're always looking for more. They're always trying to tease people out of their shells to come back out.
Yeah.
But
now, there's a question. Who would you like to see, then? Actually, you can't twist the arm off.
It was always the Thompson Twins before, but they've managed to tease Tom out. I don't know, Nick. Who would you think? Who's the?
Well, Tears for Fears are out,
Yeah.
aren't they? But they're selfishly doing their own thing.
Yeah,
not
they're
joining in
filling
the fun, are
gigs
they?
all on their own
They're
and-
filling arenas on their own.
Yeah,
It's
so
which
good.
is really quite selfish. I think.
But as for nights like this, it's all about celebrating the best well-known songs you've done and
Oh,
everyone
no, we're not
else's
doing
songs.
any of those tonight.
You're not?
Oh, no.
I just saw the set list. I thought I recognised something.
No, it's all stuff we wrote on the way here. Nothing rhymes. No,
That's
we do
brilliant.
the hits. Sorry, to stop being flippant for
That's
once.
quite all, don't worry.
Yeah, we know what this is about. You know, people don't want to come along and hear a whole lot of new stuff. So it's like it's an 80s jukebox. That's the way we like to look at it. And well, actually, there are a few
Yeah,
surprises.
there are a couple of
aren't there?
surprises, yeah.
I've seen the encore actually, and I've heard how amazing that is for you two actually.
I don't know what you mean.
No, but well, this isn't going to be broadcast before it, but yes.
Yeah,
I mean,
we tried to throw in some surprises,
Yeah.
and maybe some songs that people wouldn't necessarily associate with us, and keeps it fresh.
Great. Well, thanks for joining us on Rutland Radio. Thanks for coming to Stamford. Have you actually managed to see any of it today?
Yeah,
we saw a pub about half an hour ago.
We went into, what was it called?
London Inn.
The London Inn. We went into the London Inn to try to watch the football, but we gave up and came home, and because we thought we'd better get here before the show starts.
That is the thing, isn't it? How close has it ever been? You know,
What,
in
to
terms
missing
of-
a show?
Yeah, to being on.
No, never. We're super professional. It's never happened, has it?
Back in the day, I drove on stage on a motorcycle on the back of a motorbike.
That's very showbiz, isn't it?
Straight from Wogan. How about that?
Wow.
Yeah, Wembley Arena. Yeah, they weren't
Must have been
expecting
fun.
me. It was someone else's gig.
Nick Kershaw there is on his way on his motorbike. Off to play a gig somewhere anyway.
But yeah, I was literally, that was
Here's Joan Armatrading.
2 minutes to spare.
I think it sounds like you might want my job.
Well, listen, I've got plenty of spare time.
Thanks for joining us on Rutland Radio. Though.
Thank you.
Just brilliant to have you here in Stamford.
Thanks, Rob. Cheers.
Well, that's it for this week's Rutland Radio podcast. If you have any comments, you can email us via the website rutlandradio.co.uk, and we'll have a new version on our website from Monday.
This is a download from Rutland Radio. For more information, go to rutlandradio.co.uk. This is a download from Rutland Radio.
Hello, and thank you for downloading the Rutland Radio podcast from rutlandradio.co.uk. This is where you can hear the best bits from the last week.
I'm Pam Hornby, and I work in the office here, taking the calls from people who need trips to hospitals or dentists or whatever. And I come 2 mornings a week, which kind of helps me to maintain interest in people and life in general.
What kind of calls do you get? Are they always regular people?
We do have a large number of people who come regularly. In fact, we have a type of visit which we call ongoing, and they go and do the same thing every week. They're mainly people from care homes going to a workshop or something like that, or they're people with a regular shopping trip. But the majority, I think, come through with people who've got to go to Leicester. Well, from here to go to Leicester by public transport is virtually impossible. But our drivers will take them door to door, wait for them, bring them home again, so everybody's a lot happier that way.
Now, I know the thing you really don't want to say is no, we can't. How often do you have to do that?
Not very often. When we get really, really stuck, the office manager will send an email out to all the drivers, and I think he's always managed, I couldn't swear to it, but I think he's always managed, somebody has done a day they don't normally do or something like that to cover it, yeah.
What's the time period between you receiving that call and the drive actually being arranged?
Well, we normally ask them to give us 5 days' notice of wherever they're going. Obviously, hospitals sometimes send a letter the day before or phone call because they've had a cancellation. So we do our best in those circumstances. But if we can get the 5 days, it enables us to ring round a number of drivers before we find someone able and willing to do it.
I'm Christopher Goddard. I'm a volunteer driver with the Social Car Scheme at Voluntary Action Rutland, and I've been volunteering for Voluntary Action since March of 2010. I use my own vehicle. I go to all the Peterborough hospitals, the Leicester hospitals, Melton Mowbray, Stamford, Loughborough, Kettering, and also I take clients to the local supermarkets to do their shopping, and also to the hairdressers for weekly appointments.
Pam, would you describe this as a vital service?
Oh, absolutely. We've a lot of elderly people, a lot of retired and come to Rutland to retire, and it's lovely. You find this beautiful village and you think, oh, this is great for retirement, and then what happens? You can no longer drive and you're stuck, and the bus services are just not adequate. So they wouldn't be able to get anywhere. And I mean, to take a taxi on a pension, I mean, I'm a pensioner, I couldn't afford to take a taxi into Leicester. So yes, it is essential.
So what sort of prices would people be paying then for your service?
Well, to go from here to the Leicester General Hospital, if they have a Rutland County Council bus pass, would cost them £11, and the drivers would wait 3 hours, no further charge. If it's between 3 and 4 hours, we do ask them to give the driver something for his refreshment or her refreshment. Peterborough's £14 return from here. Others vary according to the distance. We have a scale of charges.
My name is Chris Morton, and I drive the community vehicle, which is essentially the wheelchair car, because it's got the ramp at the back, which allows for access.
And I guess that's pretty well used, is it, weekly?
Oh, very much so. We have one young lady, a schoolgirl, who's in a wheelchair, so every morning we take her to school. And very often elderly people want to go to a club, stroke club, Alzheimer's, anything like that. And if it's a wheelchair, then it's the perfect mode of transport. But because it's got a ramp, also the infirm can very often use this vehicle, because we can lower the ramp and they can walk in with help and get a chair much easier than climbing in and out of a car. And also, mothers and babies, it's also useful for them, especially if they've got 2 or 3 children and they all need separate child seats. Then we've got that facility in the wheelchair car as well, which helps mum, because at least she's there to control them.
Highlights from the past 7 days, the Rutland Radio Podcast.
Simon Free. And tell me about really 7 years ago when you kind of set out the plan which has come to fruition.
I think for me, one of the things I wanted to do with the team was make sure that we all work together as a team, not as separates, not as individuals, but as a team. So one of the first things I did was make sure I shared all the information I could, not just about schemes of work and where we were going as a department, but also about every child. And I also accepted that some teachers are better at teaching certain things than other teachers, and therefore, we looked to each other, not just to me or just to our most experienced, but to each other to make sure we learned from each other in sharing that good practice. So as a department, we had a real open book philosophy, and that I think was the grounding really of where we went from there. And so that momentum built, and then we kind of took that momentum from ourselves into our children. And the point then was to say to these kids, look, you think, or you've been told by the data that your target grade is a C, but let's just put that to one side. You tell me what you want as a grade. You tell me what you'd like to aspire to. And so we built this ethos of aspiration, and therefore we had children that were meant to be getting C's getting A's, meant to be getting B's getting A stars, meant to be getting E's and getting C's. And that was because we took away, I think, the limit from ourselves, and also, more importantly, I think, we took that limit away from the children. That mindset was no longer a closed mindset, it was a proper growth mindset where we said to the children, look, this is a skill-based topic, and if you work hard, you can aspire and achieve, and that was the essence of what we did really as a department.
Rutland Radio.
My name is Carl Smith, I'm Principal of Casterton College, Rutland.
Now, we're here on last day of term for the GCSE students, and you've got just one last thing to do today.
I have one last thing to do today, and that is an incredible honour, which is to award the mathematics department with the finalist, or to say that they have become the finalist in the National Team of the Year competition in a secondary school. Out of 6,600 schools in the country, they are in the final of the best Ford math departments anywhere, and I think that is an absolutely wonderful announcement, and they don't know, so I'm just about to tell them.
And I know there's 2 members of the department not here today.
Yes, there are. Unfortunately, Claire Woods wasn't able to be with us today, and also Christina Heames, but both of those are very, very important members of the department, and this is very much a team effort. This is a department award, so credit goes to those as well as all the other members of the department.
Rutland Radio.
You've actually been honoured in the awards as well before.
Yes, last year I was nominated for Secondary School Teacher of the Year, so last year I went through the same process, but it was this year it was slightly better because it was a collaborative team effort, whereas last year it was just me personally, so it was very intense. I had a 1 hour observation, and then they spent the other 2 hours speaking again with students, staff, parents, governors of the school. So it was a slightly different experience, but once again I was really honoured to have got through to the Silver Award rounds, and I went through to the finals and had enjoyed the ceremony. It was lovely, really, really nice.
It's such a crucial subject as well, isn't it, you know, for everyone at 16?
It certainly is, and what we try to do here, we want to make sure that no matter what ability the students are, they actually enjoy maths. A lot of students at the school will say they enjoy maths. They can see the amount of effort we put in. Over the last few weeks in particular, we've been in on Saturdays helping the Year 11s. We've had after schools. The day before the exam, I had over 3/4 of my class here till 5 o'clock revising, making sure they could cover absolutely everything. And thankfully, when they'd sat the last exam, they came out saying it was really straightforward, thankfully. So let's hope for some good results in August.
So that's in your extra time, basically, your free time?
Yeah, that's one thing that we will happily do. We'll always say to the students, if you ever need any support, whether it's at break, lunch, after school, we're always here. And I think that's one of the things that they will highlight as one of our strengths, and that's one of the things they passed over to the judges when they visited us a few weeks ago.
Rutland Radio's best bits on the podcast.
So last Wednesday was World Blood Donor Day, to encourage people to sign up and donate. I've done it a couple of times. I'm ashamed to say I need to get back in the swing of it because I haven't done it for a few years now. And you know, give blood, save a life. Only 1% of the world's population is needed to actually keep blood stocks up there. Now, last Wednesday we were searching for Stamford and Rutland's biggest donor. And 280 times, Sylvia from Braunston, you've donated, or something around that.
Yes, it's somewhere around that figure. It's printed on the paper when you go. And to be honest, I can't remember the last time I looked at it what it said, but it must be somewhere around there.
That's absolutely incredible. Now, you haven't actually been 280 times, though, have you?
No. I started off as an ordinary blood donor, and then they wanted they started off wanting plasma donors, and I did that. And then they wanted platelet donors, and I did that. And doing that, you were able to go about once every 3-4 weeks, or as often as you could get, really. And each time you didn't just get 1 credit, they gave you 2 credits on your total. So that's how my total whizzed up quite quickly.
What would you say to anyone who was thinking, do you know, I'd love to give blood, I just never quite get round to it?
That's the hardest thing, going and making the first attempt. There's nothing scary about it at all. But it's just the physically getting off your bum and going. And there's nothing to it when you get there.
So, what an incredible gift you have given to so many people. I don't suppose you know how many people's lives you've saved through 280 donations.
No, I've no idea. But on one occasion, when I used to go to Cambridge to give platelets, and on one occasion they said when I got there, "Oh, would you mind not doing platelets today? We've got a mum about to give birth to a baby," and they had matched my blood up with hers. And they said, could they just take whole blood on that occasion because they got somebody lined up ready to take my donations. So I said, yeah, I don't mind. So in that instance, yes, I do know that I did help a mum about to have a new baby. But apart from that, you just put it into the big donation pot, really, and then they use it where they need it.
Sylvia from Braunston, do you think you could be Stamford and Rutland's biggest blood donor?
No, I'm sure there's other people that have done more than me. I didn't start until, I can't remember when I started, but I wasn't young when I started, and there must be people that have been doing it since they were really young, so I bet there's people with more donations than me.
Well, appreciate the chat this morning. Have a good day, and
Thank you.
Are you giving it again soon?
Yeah, I can't remember. You book your session when you're at the last one, and I honestly can't remember without looking in my diary when the next one is. But they always send you a reminder, so when the letter comes, you just think, oh yes, it must be time again.
Very easy to find out how to do it online. Please do give blood and save a life if you can.
Rutland Radio.
Well, many congratulations, and actually to be honoured publicly here at Oakham Castle as well, actually in the heart of Rutland.
Well, it's very moving. It's a tremendous honour. It's a special honour because it's in the Queen's gift, and I'm very, very proud. But I'm proud not just for myself, but I'm proud for the county. I think the county is the most wonderful county. It's a small county, but my goodness me, it does an enormous amount. And my connections with it have been both enjoyable and very, very great fun. The people are just simply lovely, and I cannot thank the people of Rutland enough for all that they do. And of course, I can't thank my wife enough for all that she does. Everybody together. I think this reflects the work that you all have done. And you yourself, Rob, tremendous ambassador for our county. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you. I didn't expect to be included in your list of thank yous, but 20 years actually serving the county, first as deputy and then actually as Lord Lieutenant, the Queen's representative.
Yes, it sounds like a long time, but I can assure you it's gone like a flash. And although I shall be retiring in a year's time, I shall serve that final year. Well, my wife says it's 10 months and about 2 weeks. But I shall serve that time with great humility and with great pleasure. It's been a huge, huge privilege for me over these last 20 years to serve our county.
Any idea who actually would step into your shoes? How does that work?
Oh, the process is done by an appointment secretary sent to the county, but of course I have no idea who that might be. Of course it's unknown and won't be known until near the time of my retirement.
The weekly Rutland Radio podcast.
Jane Shelton from Quirky Bird Gifts.
Claire Empson from Rutland Cards and Balloons.
It's Kate from Impact.
So, tell us, your concerns over what Rutland County Council are proposing. Why is it the one-way system that stirred up so much fear?
I think because when they trialled it, when the roadworks were going on, it didn't seem to be very successful. There was very few people in town, and there's usually a lot of car parking in the market square available, and it was pretty much empty most of the time, and that showed to me that people just weren't bothering to come into town.
So is it more the fact that you don't want the high street messed about with again?
No, I think it would be a good idea. It's a good idea to have a revamp of the high street, very much so, yeah.
Is parking, do you think, a concern for people who come into town anyway?
It's a massive concern because at the end of the day we've got customers who just nip in and they come in and they just want to come in and quickly grab something. And it's hard to do that when you can't find parking on the high street, especially when all they want is just one card. And to go around a one-way system several times just to find a parking space, they're just going to give up and go elsewhere, unfortunately.
Now, the council have told us that they've written to 300 businesses around town. Last Friday, they invited people to go along. Did either of you go?
No, we went to the presentation in the Market Square on Wednesday. That's all I was able to do, I'm afraid.
So, are you talking to the council and actually, hoping to have your concerns heard?
I'm going to hopefully put a letter together to the council. I'm going to hopefully try and write it with Lauren herself, with Impact, and sit down and see if we can write a letter together once we've got the petition filled out so that we can raise our concerns, because there's a lot of concerns about the one-way system. And I've also heard that they've written to 300 businesses, but they haven't written to any residents at all, and they're not planning on sending any leaflets out to the residents. The only way that you can vote is by the ballot box at the council offices or online, but that's no good to people who can't get out of the house that often, and it's just very difficult for people who haven't got internet access either.
I think they will take letters from what I've read, but also they do obviously have that display. I mean, you can't argue the wealth of interest that people have in Oakham. I mean, every time that trailer's been there, I've seen someone looking at it, looking at the proposals. People obviously care about the future.
Well, I think they do, and I think they very much care about the future of Oakham Town Centre, retailers and others. Yeah, they really do, yeah.
So, in an ideal world, what would you wish for Oakham High Street and Crown Walk?
The two-way system would be a much better option than the one-way system because of the parallel parking. It's easier to get parked. It doesn't hold up traffic along the high street when you're trying to park. And Also, it's not going to have a massive impact on the businesses that are already there on the high street. The one-way system, the roadworks alone are just going to cause uproar and massive problems. It's going to have a detrimental effect on a lot of businesses around Oakham High Street.
Now, I know, are you happy to speak on behalf of
Yes,
Impact?
that's fine, yes.
Can I just have your name and your business as well?
It's Kate from Impact.
So you've moved into Crown Walk quite recently from what would be a prime location in the marketplace, but that seems to have been a good move for you.
It has definitely been a good move. Crown Walk's much busier than we anticipated. Obviously the roadworks have affected things slightly, but no, we are pleased with the move. It's been very good.
So really it's a case, would you welcome, say, the council meeting with you? I mean, they're out there for consultation. It's not as if they're not listening, really.
It feels as if they aren't, because at the end of the day, a lot of residents still don't know about it. They're coming into the shop and I'm explaining to them about the petition that we have on the counter and saying, oh, what's this about? And they're like, I haven't heard anything about this. And I've especially had one lady today who doesn't have internet access, doesn't really read the local papers.
Doesn't listen to the radio, clearly.
She's a complete technophobe, and she's just like, I had no idea this was happening, and she's probably middle-aged, and I was like, at the end of the day, people need to know what's going to be happening to their town, especially if it involves them and them coming to our business, because they're regular customers of ours, and I'm pretty sure they wouldn't want to see us leave. So
do you think you're working against the council? Because here they are saying, okay, we've examined the traffic, we've got these two proposals, see how the public are feeling about it. Aren't they just doing their job?
I don't think we're working against the council. I think we just want to make sure that everybody that is aware of the situation, and if we can get as many opinions as we can by July the 7th, I think the deadline, then that's what we're aiming to do.
Do you feel under pressure to do that? Because it's not very long, is it?
A little bit, I guess, yeah, but it's just a matter of talking to as many people as we can.
Rutland Radio.
Well, first off, welcome to England. And how long have you been over here?
I think we've been here about 10 days now, so acclimatised nicely.
You've got the best of our summer weather. It's actually going to be scorchingly hot again tomorrow. So, tell us how women's cricket is viewed in Australia, because people like Charlotte have really, got it rocketing to the top over here.
Yeah, it's been well received back home in Australia, which is great. Obviously, the Women's Big Bash League has done some amazing things for cricket in general, but our game, obviously, and it's great to see that the Australian public getting behind our game, and hopefully they'll be watching over here with interest.
And, obviously England v Australia it's been bitter rivals over the years, really.
Yeah, it has been. I've been playing a little while now in the Ashes series that we play against one another, and obviously we get an opportunity in some World Cup games as well. It's always a really good fixture, so looking forward to that one later in the tournament. It'll obviously be a big game, and no doubt there'll be a lot of supporters out there with their England shirts on.
Now, it's obviously all centred around Lord's, our premier cricket ground here in England. We're here at a public school in England's smallest county, and this is your practice ground. It's not bad, really, is it?
It's fantastic. We've been really well looked after here in Leicester, and obviously playing out here at Oakham College. We had training here the last few days, and they've got amazing facilities, and looking forward to getting out here today against South Africa and having a good run around.
People I know can pop down and actually see this game.
Yeah, I think they can. I think there's a few students popping their heads out the windows here and there, so we'll have a bit of support from them, no doubt.
Great, good luck. Thanks for joining us on Rutland Radio.
Thank you.
Highlights from the past 7 days, the Rutland Radio podcast.
Well, first off, welcome to Oakham. You've been here before because you had remarks about the old pavilion.
Yeah, no, I played here a few times actually with a Super Fours tournament we used to play back in the day, and pavilion has moved now, but it's a very impressive facilities here and a very good wicket from what I can remember, so I'm sure the girls are in for a good day today.
And what an amazing day you've got. Started off at what time at Lord's this morning?
Yeah, my alarm went off at 5 a.m. I spent some time at Lord's doing some interviews, and then we've come straight up to here. So we're on time at the moment, but Leicester is next on our list, and looking forward to getting there.
So after Grace Road, you're kind of heading southwest and eventually in Somerset by this evening?
Derby after Leicester, and then southwest this evening, I think, and I think I'm climbing the rig of the SS Britain, so I think it could be a fun day ahead of us.
As the record breaker that you are for women's cricket, how do you feel actually not only having met the Oakham girls who are now playing county, but seeing Australia and South Africa and the other sides here?
Yeah, I mean, it's great. I mean, to see the girls, the Oakham girls here, and to think that, they're now playing cricket at school is absolutely fantastic. And to get the opportunity to watch, the Australian South Africans, two of the best teams in the world here today is incredible. So, they're really lucky. I'm sure it's going to be a great game. These two are very good teams, so it's going to be a great day for the school.
And you must have felt like a real trailblazer actually during your career. There were so many firsts.
Yeah, no, I mean, I'm obviously incredibly proud of what I've done in the game, but I think, just in terms of the legacy, is just the fact that, come here today and Oakham School has a girls' cricket team, which, 2 years ago, they didn't. So I think that says volumes for how far the game has grown, and I'm just as proud of that as I am of my playing career, to be perfectly honest, that girls have the opportunity to play cricket.
And that's an amazing trophy that you're carting down around the country today.
Yeah, it's very impressive, very prestigious trophy, and very lucky I've had my hands on it, and I'm sure a team is going to be very excited to get their hands on it come the 23rd of July. So, it's going to be the closest World Cup we've seen, I think. I think the Aussies are favourites, so you'll see today how good they are, but England won't be far away, I don't think.
Charlotte Edwards, thank you for joining us on Rutland Radio today.
Thank you very much.
Rutland Radio's best bits on the podcast.
Neil Johnson, Director of Cricket.
It's such a special day, isn't it? Actually thinking that, you are second to Lords on the tour, that you're hosting international women's teams.
Absolutely. It's an amazing day, really. It's exciting for us, and just to see all these girls here come and train on our facilities, and we try to make it as good as possible, and I think we've done quite well.
And Charlotte was saying that the women's team is really quite a new addition to the school, and it seems to be really paying dividends already.
No, absolutely. I don't know if you saw a lot of the girls come down and look at these girls. They watched them train yesterday, and to have them come and see the World Cup as well, it is amazing. It does create a lot of excitement, which there is a lot of excitement already in girls cricket, and certainly here at Oakham we've created some excitement. Well, these girls really, when you watch them play in the standard they play it, and you suddenly realise that they're heroes. And so our little girls, they want to be these girls as well.
Rutland Radio.
Major Des Skinner. I'm the second in command of 7 Regiment of the Royal Logistic Corps.
And tell us how Armed Forces Week is supported by the people of Rutland. I mean, there's always such a rich military history here.
Indeed it is. And having taken over Kendrick Barracks, formerly from RAF Cottesmore, we continue to experience a home life which allows the servicemen and women to deploy overseas to go and do the things which we've been asked to do by the government of the day, knowing in the best possible way that our families and our friends are supported back here within the community.
The British Army is clearly as relevant, and the other forces that we have in our county is as relevant as ever.
I think the continued relevance of the armed forces is a point where the defence of the United Kingdom, the security of everything which we take as the freedoms which our forebears had fought and in some cases died and were injured for, allows the peace and security across the United Kingdom to persist. And yes, we are still exceptionally relevant and busy deployed on operations across the globe, from the Falkland Islands for the enduring political discussions that are going on there, across to more contemporary activities in Iraq and Afghanistan in pursuance of peace.
And the Army battalions are changing here in Rutland as well?
Yes, so I'm lucky. My regiment is staying where it is, but we are in support of the 2nd Battalion of the Royal Anglian Regiment, the poachers, who are leaving to go to Cyprus at the end of July, and we will shortly receive the 2nd Battalion of the Princess of Wales Royal Regiment, who are in Cyprus at the moment, who will come into Kendry. Yes.
Rutland Radio.
It's Rutland Radio at breakfast time. I'm Rob Pisani. The Oakham Festival is very nearly with us, and we're actually starting by talking about the last event, which is called Threads. It's at Oakham's Queen Elizabeth Theatre. It's on Sunday night, the 2nd of July. £10 to see it, and this is physical theatre. Its creators, Sarah Bell and Janet Wignall, are with me this morning. Physical theatre. Now, I mean, people aren't going to be kind of pulled from their seats or anything, will they? But they will be moved by watching it.
Emotionally, yes. We hope that it'll be engaging for the audience and they'll feel really connected to the cast, really.
So you've developed this literally from a blank sheet, have you?
Yeah, because physical theatre in its purest form is where you create your characters and your situation from the movement first, but we've not gone quite that far. We've worked out first that we wanted to do a piece about communication and relationships and the threads through those, and so we started with an idea of situation and character, but then created the scenes, if you like, through the movement and the work that the actors did.
Hence why Threads is the title of it. So these are characters that people will have revealed to them through the production.
Yeah, definitely. Their characters are based on the people themselves, the cast themselves, aren't they?
Mm-hmm.
They play themselves at points in it. They play other people.
Yeah, and they're looking at the connections between characters. There's one particular part of it that is all to do with getting ready and finding your identity and then going out and having a good time in a club, and the result after that, really. And so the show has very funny moments in it and very thought-provoking moments in it, and moments where it's really quite engaging and makes you feel a bit emotional. Yeah, that's the word I'm looking for, Sarah. Thank you. Makes it quite emotional, makes you think quite hard about some of the ways that we live our lives.
So if the cast are at times playing themselves, how do they feel? Because, actors love to hide behind a part, don't they?
Yeah, it's maybe been a challenge for some of them, but our cast have all been absolutely amazing. Since the second they walked through the door, we've thrown loads of challenges at them, and they have taken everything in their stride. Our 15 people in the cast don't leave the stage for an hour and 15 minutes. And they've devised the whole piece themselves in 10 weeks.
The first workshop we had, the creative energy in that room for 2 hours just blew me away. I mean, I've been teaching drama for 40 years with young students that have lots of energy, but I have never been in a room with adults, and this buzz, this creative energy was quite mind-blowing, wasn't it, Sarah?
Yeah, it was. They were ready for it, weren't they?
They were.
They were really accepting of the challenge. They've been amazing.
Every year there seems to be one part of the Oakham Festival where people go, I can't believe you pulled this off. And I think this could well be the one.
I agree.
yeah, we do.
So the Oakham Festival, you can see music, comedy, brilliant performances and innovation. This is, I suppose, what this one's about, really.
Definitely.
This is something that's never been done before.
No,
in
I don't
Rutland.
think there's been a production of its kind in the county. It's also the first time that me and Janet have worked together.
That's
really? After all these years?
Yeah.
You're both living in the same town and all?
After years of knowing each other and wanting to work together, this was the first excuse to do it, which has been brilliant.
Basically, Sarah bullied me into it.
And, you want that theatre full, don't you? Something I read the other day, art needs an audience.
Definitely. It's about supporting the people who have made the work, not necessarily me and Janet, the cast, who've worked incredibly hard. And like you said, they need some reassurance.
They deserve a good audience because they've worked so hard.
So it's £10 to go and see Threads. It's Oakham's Queen Elizabeth Theatre. There's tickets available. WeGotTickets.com, at the Rutland Toy and Dance Boutique and at Oakham Castle. If there's any left, they'll be on the door Sunday the 2nd of July. Don't miss Threads, the closing event for the Oakham Festival. And can anyone go and see this? Would you say it's more of an adult piece?
I would say 14 and over, wouldn't you, Sarah?
I would, yeah.
Rutland Radio's Best Bits on the podcast.
Oh, hello, I'm Lucy Stevenson and I'm chairman of our hardworking Feast Day Committee.
And the feast, always in June, quite often on Father's Day, but not this year.
No, not this year. We fancied a little bit of a change. Normally we have it as near to the summer solstice as possible, and so it was a case of we'll go for the 25th and give the daddies a treat away from Feast Day.
And just give us some of the highlights. It all starts with the samba dancers, of course, opening the event. Just ahead of the samba procession, actually, the mayor's doing something special.
Yes, the mayor is doing, well, I think in old-fashioned terms, it would be called the beating of the bounds. At 10:30, meet in the Market Square, which is basically a walk around Uppingham. And I think people would be surprised at some of the hidden little beauties that lurk around Uppingham. So do come along. That's 10:30 in the Market Square, ahead of the samba procession at 11:45. I'm really looking forward to seeing the New Orleans street band, the King Brastards. We've got children's things, we've got balloon modeller, you can make your own Mad Hatter's hat, believe it or not, a treasure hunt which leads you into the lovely alleyways of Uppingham to see the shops. So lots to do for everybody.
10 hours of free entertainment.
10 hours of free entertainment, you really can't ask for more than that. Come along, plenty of parking in our car parks. Have a bit of fun, lots of food and drink, trade stands, always a very, very good, friendly atmosphere. So it'd be lovely to see everybody there.
Well, that's it for this week's Rutland Radio podcast. If you have any comments, you can email us via the website, rutlandradio.co.uk, and we'll have a new version on our website from Monday.
This is a download from Rutland Radio. For more information, go to rutlandradio.co.uk.